Like, I wanted to get a lawyer and everything, but I'm pretty sure just like a lot of other people, it's like, first of all, I don't have the money for a lawyer. I don't know nothing about like what the dues or not. I'm not gonna win. It's sad to say, but it's like 3 white people and it's me. Like, who's gonna believe me?
The sharp division of people into 2 main groups.
We hold these truths to be self-evident.
I was told based upon my race, I'm a criminal.
She's got to be so likable that any white girl with a chip on her shoulder will think twice before she starts any trouble.
Never hesitate to call your police, day or night.
You don't get rid of things just by not thinking about them. You have to do something about them. Pretty soon we'll be grown up and this will be our world and it'll be what we make it.
One of my first experiences was when I was a kid. I was told that black girls don't have freckles. So I grew up on the south side of Harrisburg, which is around South 13th Street in Hanover, around that area, which will also be called the Projects. In 2016, around the end of March 2016, I was working at Burlington. I had been there about 7 years at the time. Usually I would go in early or later I would pick up my layaways. So this time I was there early to pick up my layaway. I was eating pizza, something that I would do a lot before I clock in. So I was in line eating my pizza, and it was a busy Saturday. Like, there's commotion, things are going on, people are at the register. And one of the managers is on the register, and she was asking me to help with something, like I was on the clock. But I didn't really hear her because I was like in line, but I guess she must have thought I was just standing around. So she got mad and she was like, well, you're standing there eating pizza. And I'm like, what? I'm not even clocking. I'm trying to explain it to her, but she just basically just started arguing with me. At that point, I kind of like didn't even know what she was saying anymore because she started like leaning in like my face. And I really got mad. I mean, at that point, it was like, now you're disrespecting me because you're not even listening to what I'm saying. You're just talking over me. So I told her, like, you're going back about my face now. So then I guess it kind of like, at that point, everybody's looking and all that, so I ended up walking away. I didn't get my layaway because I still had to clock in. Clocked in, went to work, and after about maybe like an hour or so, I had to use the bathroom. I went to the bathroom and came back. The first manager's name is Laure'alle. This is the second manager. I walked up on her talking to an associate of mine, not a manager, about what happened, which she wasn't even there. And I just heard her saying, well, yeah, I'm not gonna have it. I'm not having it. And the other person saw me coming, so I guess they might have been trying to be like, here she comes. So anyway, I got right beside them and I asked her, I was like, well, since I'm here, can we talk about it? And she just kept saying, I'm not gonna have it, I'm not gonna have it. I was like, you didn't even ask me my side of the story. So I guess you just spoke to her and just took whatever she said as the truth. And I walked away. And I'm like, she started hollering. She still was talking, and she was walking behind me saying, I don't even know what she was saying. She was yelling. And it's a busy Saturday. Nobody looks at her any type of way, but when I'm getting mad, everybody's looking at me like I'm going crazy. So anyway, whatever, I went back to work. The big manager comes up to me, doesn't even talk to me about it, and tells me that I'm suspended for 2 weeks. And after the fact, Lori, the first one that I got into the argument with, she apologized to me. That was cool, but the second manager, like, it was crazy to me. Like, the second manager and the final result. And I had been there for 7 years. Ooh, I'm getting emotional. I had been there for 7 years, and I couldn't believe, like, you didn't even ask me what happened. Like, I wanted to get a lawyer and everything, but I'm pretty sure just like a lot of other people, it's like, first of all, I don't have the money for a lawyer. I don't know nothing about like what the dues or not. I'm not gonna win. It's sad to say, but it's like 3 white people and it's me. Like, who's gonna believe me over anybody else? Even my family. Just because it's that way. Like, you're gonna believe somebody that has like authority over somebody like me, because I could say most of my life I probably could have been somebody that you might have been like, oh, she's capable of being wrong in these situations. But at that time, I wasn't. Like, I was just at a point in my life where, oh no, I'm sorry, y'all. If you're ever put in a situation of racial injustice, you should speak up on it. If you're like me and you don't always find the words to say it in a positive way, take a minute, sit back, evaluate how you feel, and then make sure you know exactly what you need to say. So that way you get it all out at once. It's disempowering because you feel like you don't have a voice. It is disempowering because it builds up something in you that you don't deserve to have, especially in a situation of injustice when it's not your fault. It builds up anger. I feel as though I could talk to my family about it, but they would be like, you probably were wrong, because I'm emotional. I'm an emotional person. Not as far as crying, because I don't really cry that much. But I'm emotional as far as when I feel passionate about something, I might get angry. So it might seem like me explaining it to them, they could say, oh, I know how she gets. Like, when that's not always the case for anybody that could be like me, that gets angry when they're not treated fairly, instead of being calm and just saying how you feel. I feel like race and things like that probably should be talked about in the workplace. It should be mandatory. I mean, as far as with this transition that is building to something good, I'm hoping that would also help. There should be a handbook to say that we're not tolerating this, and this, and for the manager to be upheld to that. And it should be in the handbook so that all the employees can have it, so that they can hold their managers accountable. Because for me, that would have helped me. Like, I would have been like, okay, this is in a handbook. I know you can't do this. And also, it only takes one person in a job. Word spreads around. Everybody would know. Like, it's not acceptable to be prejudiced. It's not acceptable to be prejudiced for anything. It's not acceptable to treat people any old type of way because you feel like you have seniority or power over them. Growing up, I didn't have adults talk to me about power structure. I didn't have them tell me about resources because they didn't know about the resources themselves. It's taken until pretty much about now with social media, pretty much, because I still don't get a lot of resources from my family. They may have some, but not the ones that I feel as though you need in high school to prepare you for the real world. I am passionate about helping people. I'm passionate about fashion. Like, those are like the two, and my family, of course. They're like, I would say my family is number one for sure. They know that. Second is helping people, and third is fashion. I believe fashion gives everyone a voice because you can express either how you feel. Well, I would say you can express how you feel. I express myself through fashion with how I feel. You see how I came in all black because I usually wear like the colors on my mask, rainbow, bright, like fluorescent. Everybody says they can see me from a mile away from my big earrings and my bright colors. But I feel like I had to, today I was coming to, I would say, make my point or state my side of the story. And all black, I feel like we didn't need to focus on my colors. Like, I wanted to come and tell my story and let it just be that. In the black culture, beauty is shown a lot through how we dress. But with the white community, I feel like it's more like professional, like in suits and dresses. Like, that would be considered beauty. Like, if you see a magazine, what do you see? If it's not urban, it would be someone probably in a suit and a dress. If you see an urban magazine, you might see somebody like me with the t-shirt with words on it, some jeans, some cut-up jeans. My grandmother, who told me that she could only wear skirts at one point in time, which I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about it. But as a woman, she could only wear skirts. And then even fast forward to me as an adult working, at one point in time, we could wear dress clothes, and of course, I took it to another level, which kind of made me feel like I was the reason why they changed the dress code, but I have no clue for sure. It was a nationwide thing. We had to end up wearing all black slacks and a black collar shirt. And it hasn't happened to me, but I know of other people that couldn't wear an afro. They would have to have their hair straight or back in a ponytail, which naturally a majority of our hair is not straight. Well, what I can say is that I definitely noticed this same job that I had the incidents with. I worked harder than, I would say, anybody. I could say I'm top 2, and I wasn't number 2. And I've seen white women come in and get a manager position. I ended up working at that job for 10 years. I was never a manager. I was always a sales associate, but I knew how to do everything. Like, anything they wanted me to do, I knew how to do it. Like I was a manager, but I never had the title. So for me, I definitely felt as though I had to work harder, and even working harder didn't work. I would like to say I never had, as far as going to work, I've never had someone black assist me and give me knowledge as to what I should be doing or how to level up, so to say. I definitely believe that that is important, because I would probably be a lot further ahead than I am now if I would have had that assistance, especially with me being an artist. Like, I always wanted to do things that had to do with art. But it definitely is important to have a mentor for a black woman or a young black girl. It is definitely important to have a mentor of your ethnicity, especially because they might have been through a lot of the things that you've been through, and they can show you a way out. I definitely have thought about changing the culture for artists of color in Harrisburg. I always imagine like what I'm gonna do when I get rich. Like, I look at buildings when I'm riding through the city, and it's like, okay, that building could be a nice art building. Even up in Reservoir Park, there are buildings that are not being used. Like, I go up there occasionally when I jog. There's like a building that says art, there's a building that says pastry, and they are not being used. And I'm like, I want to contact who owns these buildings, because I work for myself, so I can schedule it to where I can reach out to people that could actually be teachers in the other buildings, and I can teach in one of the buildings and open it up for the community, because we definitely need it, definitely. I believe it is definitely harder to break into areas where you can gather connections as a black woman, because of the fact that I feel like, again, you need a mentor at a young age. Like, that builds the foundation for you to automatically have those contacts. As an adult now, if I look out and say, okay, like Reservoir Park, I want to get those buildings. I don't even know where to start. Like, I don't even know who owns the buildings. I don't know anyone that might know. In my family, I know that they don't dream big because they weren't taught to. My grandmother, her mother and father died when she was young. Then she had my mother, and then she had more kids, which I feel like she didn't have anybody to teach her. She doesn't know how to teach her children, and so on and so forth down to me. So nobody really made it to do anything as far as being an artist. And that's why I feel like children need to know that you can find the resources. I know it's hard. You gotta reach out. I mean, even building up to actually getting the resources, you can just get connected with people, and those connections will lead to more connections. It's basically like, you just can't stop. No matter what, you can't stop. There's always something else that you need to know, and it's good to know that at a young age, so that way, when you're an adult, you can pass that down, and it's on from there.